皆さんこんにちは。毎日少しずつ社交に使える英語の上達を目指すソーシャルイングリッシュポッドキャストへようこそ。今日はぜひもっと自信を持って英会話してみましょう。 Are you ready, Percy? Let's go!
Hey everybody, you made it. This is it. This is the last part 6 of 6 in the Ford method. The conclusion. We'll get started right after this.
英語を学ぶとき、学ぶべき重要なスキルの一つは、良い会話をする方法です。今日のエピソードでは、ネイティブアメリカンの英語を話す人の視点から、英会話のトピックをお教えします。友達になりたい英語を母国語とする人と、有効的な会話をするために使用できる現在のトピックを学びます。これがソーシャルイングリッシュの本質です。さあ、始めましょう。
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Social English Podcast. My name is Percy. I am a podcaster and I help Japanese people learning English get better at speaking real natural English, social English. That's what this podcast and YouTube channel is all about. First off, if you are new to this podcast or channel, welcome, and I am so glad that you're able to come here and spend time with me today, and I guarantee you I'm going to give you some valuable information and you will not waste your time. Now, for those of you returning, hey, thanks for showing up. Please leave a comment at Twitter or a comment on this YouTube channel, or subscribe to the channel, and definitely subscribe and follow our podcast. Now, today's episode is the conclusion of our speaking natural and creating connections with people in a better way. If you don't know what I'm talking about, or you missed some of these episodes, the episodes start at episode 170. That's where the episodes start.
今日のソーシャルイングリッシュのエピソードは、中級または上級のスキルレベルで英語を勉強している人々を対象としています。初心者の方はゆっくりとエピソードを聞いてください。頑張れ。
Before we get into today's episode, I just want to say one more time that your English level should be upper medium or medium to advanced. The reason is because in this series, it is an advanced topic. It is not a low-level beginner topic. This series you will appreciate if you have already started speaking and practicing English with other people and even English speakers. So, why do I say this? The reason is because for this series, I will be speaking faster than I normally do. Normally, I speak a little bit slower and a little bit clearer. But for today's episode and the rest of the series, I really want to focus on you hearing exactly how the speed of the conversation will go and what it should sound like and flow like, the flow of the conversation between people. Okay? So that's why this is for more advanced speakers, and it's an advanced topic. So let's do a quick review. What is our goal? Many Japanese people learning English learn it in high school, junior high school, and college. Now, this doesn't teach you the social English ways of speaking. Sometimes you may learn a little, but you don't really get a chance to learn it because you're focusing on grammar and structure. So, let's talk about actually speaking English. What's our goal? Your goal is this. You have a classmate that you want to become friends with. You have a neighbor that lives in your building that you want to learn more about. You're at a park and meet someone and you like them. So you want to learn more about them and become friends or maybe date them. These are connections that are stronger than you would have with a teacher or just a random person. For example, you are shopping and you buy something at the grocery store. The clerk is not a person you will use this forward method on. Okay? Or the movie theater, or clothing shopping, or even your boss or your teacher. You don't use the forward method with these people. Okay? So that's the first rule. Now, let's move on. Let's talk about the forward method in action. When you begin to use this method, you want to remember FORD. But when you are having the conversations with someone in real life, it's possible that they will start to ask you part of the forward themselves without even knowing the forward method. For example, they may ask you about your family, or they may ask you about what do you like to do for fun, or do you like sports? Do you like basketball? Do you like football? Now, that means they have already started with the R part of the forward, F-O-R-D method. This means you need to remember the acronym F-O-R-D so that you can go back and use O, or F, and D whenever you want to in the conversation. So please remember that. Sometimes the person you are speaking to will already ask you in the conversation. The second thing I want you to remember is that I want you to remember to always try to add a personal statement in your conversation using the forward method before you ask a question to the person. If you think you want to ask this person a question, okay, I want to ask what job they do, what's their career, where do they work, do they like their job, is it fun, do they like the people they work with? Just those questions can be opened up by just making your personal statement first before you ask the question to them. And of course, an example would be, I love my job. I get to work with so many interesting people. How about you? Very simple, very simple. How about you can go a long way. Now, let's do the quick recap. Right now in part 3, I want to do a quick recap of the entire forward method. Okay, so F, just in case you don't remember, F is for family members. This can start with just one family member, asking about a sister, or you could include your entire family, your brothers and sisters. You can make a statement or about your father or your mother if you want to ask them eventually about their father and mother. You want to ask about cousins, uncles, any of those things. You really want to open up that conversation. Open that up with the beginning of your personal statement about your family first before you ask them a question about yours. Again, a quick example is, my sister is so funny. Is your sister funny? Or do you have a funny brother? Something like that. And they'll respond, yeah, well, my sister's not too funny, or I don't have a sister, I only have a brother. So when they answer, I don't have a sister, they will say, I have a brother, because they want to answer the question of, from the statement question that you just made, the personal statement question. Okay. Now let's go into the O, okay? Occupation or job. Like I said earlier, you want to start with a personal statement about your job and then ask them a question, or just a general statement about what you did at work to open up to their job, to ask them a question about their job. And it doesn't have to be specific. You do not want to say, where do you work? This is very unfriendly, not good, not natural. So again, for this particular way, you can say something like this. I was coding all day at work, and I am so tired. Does your job have you doing very tiring work? And that was a question. They will respond with, well, yeah, my job is pretty tiring. I have to file papers all day at my job. Oh, really? What type of job is that? Or what type of work is that? Oh, well, I work at Google. Oh, okay, I see. You work at Google, and, do you enjoy it? What about it do you enjoy? What made you work at Google? So I'll go into that in a further series where I'll teach you a little bit about following up on the Ford method. I'll call it the Ford method. Follow up. Look for that in later YouTube videos and podcast. Okay. Now let's move on. R, recreation. Okay. What do you like to do for fun? The best way, this is really, with the R for recreation, you really, really want to really make it personal. The more personal it is, the better. Here is an example. Okay. I really like Stephen Curry. Last week, I went to the Warriors game and he scored 34 points. I just love basketball. Do you like basketball? Or do you like going to NBA games? Or do you like sports? Are you a sports person? There's many ways to ask this, but to give your own personal statement first, especially for recreation, it's really important because it's close to you, something you really enjoy. Now, the D, let's go to the last one, D. D for dreams and desires. Again, for the D, I would say for R and D, they're all of course going to make you closer to the person you're having a conversation with, and you can really start to know the person. There's a phrase or a way we speak in English, I don't know you, or I don't know you yet. I don't know you. And this closes that gap between I don't know you and I know you. Okay, so dreams. What are we talking about in dreams and desires? What does that person want to do? What did that person want to do when they were younger? What does the person want to do in the future? So you can think of it as, I'd say, past, present, future. Past, present, future. That's the way that you can think about talking to the individual that you're speaking to and asking them that question. Okay? Here's a quick example. You know, I've always wanted to learn how to speak English. Are there any languages that you want to speak? This is very specific because it talks about your dream and you're asking them about your dream. So it's specific. Here's another way to do it, which is a little bit more open. I always dreamed when I was younger of being a professional singer. When you were a kid, did you have any big dreams like that? Now that is a little bit more open. It says, did you have any more dreams like that? And you told them about when you were younger, what you thought about, how you felt, and the dreams you had. So that is a better, more open way of asking that question. Okay, so that was it. That is the Ford method. Again, if this is the first time that you're coming to this particular series, please go back. I recommend to 170, episode 170, where the Ford method starts. If you are new to the podcast, please remember to subscribe. New to the YouTube channel, subscribe. An action item for you today. Yes, action item. Just remember the FORD, and I want you to practice. Just practice this method with a friend. You can practice all four FORD together. You should practice them out of order. ORFD, DROF, DOFR, whatever. Practice them out of order so you just remember what they mean, because when you have a conversation in real life, the other person might bring up, do you have a big family? Do you have any brothers and sisters? Where do you work? Or do you like your job? Do you like your career? They might already start. So if they say, well, do you have a family? You can't say, do you have a big family? Oh, do you have a big family? No, you cannot do that. It's very strange, and they probably will look at you funny. Okay? So don't do that. All right. Well.
このショーを気に入っていただけたら、5つ星のレビューをぜひお願いします。コメントは英語か日本語でお書きいただければ喜んで読ませていただきます。realsocialenglish.com にアクセスしてぜひ無料でダウンロードしてください。ほとんどの日本人の英語を勉強している人がやってしまいがちな7つの間違いとその正しい言い方。また、毎日英語を上達させるのに役立つ資料もたくさんあります。Apple Podcast、Google Podcast、Stitcher、そして今はパンドラでもポッドキャストを購読いただきます。支援者になっていただけませんか？私たちがこのショーを作るための支援として$5の寄付をお願いできませんか？今後のエピソードで感謝の気持ちをお伝えします。また、そこでしか利用できない新しいコンテンツも入手できます。patreon.com/socialenglish からご参加ください。ソーシャルメディアで私たちのポッドキャストを友達にシェアしたり、Twitter、Facebook、Instagram のフォローをお願いします。
that's it for today's episode. That was the conclusion. This is part 6, the last part of the forward method. I hope that you found it enjoyable. I hope that you learned something that you can use today that you found valuable. Okay? As always, thank you for spending time with me today on today's episode. And I also want to say that I'm still looking for two interns, and that will be available until I let you guys know. And that is to contact me at email Percy at Real Social English. Link is in the description. And I also want you to remember that you don't have to be fluent in English to do this. Just enough English to understand. So a lower medium level of English, and you really have the desire and you want to learn more about YouTube podcasting and how to become a podcaster or YouTuber, or you want to learn you want to help produce the show, really. You want to help produce it, get that experience, okay? A couple more things. Twitter, okay? Leave a comment about today's episode down in the comments below. You can also ask me any questions that you want to ask me on our Twitter page. It's Real Social English, or Social English for Japanese. There will be a link down in the description where you can just click on it and go there. And I will also be seeing you in our next episodes. Okay, be on the lookout. I also may start clipping this episode and also sending it to TikTok. We'll see, but I'm not certain about that yet. We'll see how that goes. Okay, so with that being said, remember, this is a podcast first and YouTube channel, so go down and listen to the podcast too. Click on that link below. You can listen to the podcast while you're on the train. You could listen to it while you're driving, jogging, riding your bicycle. The podcast is a little bit more versatile, where you can hear this show, hear my voice, hear these awesome episodes to help you. There's already 170 on the main podcast channel, and that's at Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, wherever you can find this podcast. Peace and love. See you next episode. We will start doing more correcting English with the English Repair Shop in the next episode. Be on the lookout for that, where you can help me by listening together, help a person correct a Japanese person with learning English that has asked me to help correct their English. Well, that will be in the next episode, and I'll see you later. Peace and love. Bye.
今日は楽しい時間をありがとうございました。ぜひ私たちのウェブサイトrealsocialenglish.com を訪問して、日本語訳と役立つ情報を手に入れてください。また次回お会いしましょう。バイバイ。See you next time. Bye bye.